love, you're listening to the Died on Ashanta podcast. I'm a resilience strategist and migrant integration specialist who has spent the last 20 years traveling, working, and studying throughout the Caribbean, North America, Europe, Africa, and Asia. As a globetrotter, I quickly learned how to bounce back from crisis and how to thrive in new and strange places. I've used my training and experience to develop a resilience-based framework, and now I help others to get over the hurdles that come with living in a foreign country. Now on this podcast, I invite you to join me on this journey of living with simplicity, joy, and resiliency. From green smoothies to goal setting, we'll cover it all. We'll talk about all the things that help us to thrive through the storm. Welcome to the Died on Ashanta podcast, and this is episode 12, Celebrating Imperfections. Now, of course, today when we talk about resilience, personal resilience, it's not just about body, mind, and spirit. It's also about the things that we release in order to move forward and to bounce back from whatever adversity and crises that we face. Now, today is actually a very special day for me because today I graduate with a Master of Education in Curriculum, Teaching and Learning Studies with a specialization in Second Language Education. Yep, it's a pretty big deal. But as I reflect on this journey towards completing my master's degree, one of the biggest lessons that I gained out of this journey had to do with the things we release. And if I were to put it all in a sentence, I would say that your performance doesn't need to be perfect to be celebrated. Now, whenever we go after major goals, like in my case, completing a master's degree, there can be a lot of external pressure. Sometimes there are voices in your head that kind of tell you need to do it this way, or you need to perform at this standard, or you need to get it done in X amount of time. And sometimes on top of all of that, you have what I call perceived expectations. These are the things that you think other people expect you to do. And sometimes we set imagined standards, meaning no one told you that this was a standard you needed to meet, but you have made up some kind of standard in your head to say, this is what I need to accomplish, this is what I need to produce. And a lot of times these imagined standards are self-imposed. No one else is asking you for it, but you have put this like really tall order on yourself. Now, in my case, I was determined to graduate with a 4.0 GPA. And the fact is that for 5 semesters, I actually maintained it. I was able to get straight A's and maintain a 4.0 GPA. And I thought, yes, I'm doing it. But then we had to face the reality of the pandemic. And when you think about the crisis that the pandemic is, and when you add to it a number of personal crises, all of that can change. And the way that changed for me is that I ended up in my 6th semester, which should have been my final semester, failing an elective course and having to drop another. Now, fortunately for me, that elective course wasn't even a part of my program, but it was a course that I was interested in at different departments. So I just kind of went into a different department. So this looks like a good course to explore. Let me try it. But when everything is going stormy and there are turmoils going on, whether in your life or in the world around you, all of that can change. And it was, I guess, in my benefit that I had a straight A record, and so I was given a second chance. In my 6th semester, they didn't decide to kick me out of my program, but they said, you know what, you've had an exceptional performance so far, and this course wasn't even a part of your original program, so let's have another go at it. And one of the bits of advice that I got as I decided to get back on my horse on this journey to completing a master's degree was that you don't need to get a perfect grade. You just need to pass the course. And the person who gave me this advice was someone who had two different master's degrees and a doctorate, and having to sit with that idea of not needing to get a perfect grade, but just needing to pass the course, I started to let go of some of those external pressures, the voices in my head, perceived expectations, and those self-imposed imagined standards that I had. And once I let go of the need to be perfect, my straight A's came back. I was able to focus on meeting the course requirements, being authentic in my interactions in the courses I took, being authentic in my analysis of the information that I had to consume in my courses, and authentic in the way I expressed myself as I wrote paper after paper. And one of the things I learned is that there's a big difference between how you show up in different periods or seasons in your life. There are times when you get to shine, when you get to be that super high performance person. But that is when things are in balance, when you have momentum, when everything is going well. That's your time to shine and to exceed expectations and to shoot for the star. But whenever you are in a storm, whether your inner world or the outer world is in turmoil, you have to release those kind of shooting star expectations and focus on your one thing. And the one thing that I will encourage you to focus on whenever you find yourself in a storm and your world is in turmoil is safety. When people talk about safety, they often think about physical safety, but there's mental safety. Don't allow anything to cause you to lose your sanity. It could be financial safety. Don't put yourself in debt because you're trying to show up in a particular way. It could be spiritual safety. You going completely off course and forgetting who you are and your purpose. So focus on your one thing, and that's your safety. And when you do that, you will definitely understand that you don't need to be perfect to be celebrated. Your performance doesn't need to be perfect to be celebrated. So today I'm going to ask you, as I go on to celebrate my imperfections today in my convocation, I'm asking you, what's your top priority right now? Once you identify what your top priority is right now, let go of the rest. Let go of the rest and accept your imperfections. Now, of course, I'm going to leave a proverb with you that is talking about the importance of failing and making mistakes and being imperfect. And it's a Malagasy proverb, and it says, choking will teach you to chew properly. Falling will teach you to walk properly. So I'm going to say that again. Choking will teach you to chew properly, and falling will teach you to walk properly. Now, the book I'm going to recommend is one I read many years ago by Brené Brown, and it's called The Gifts of Imperfection. Let go of who you think you're supposed to be and embrace who you are. So while I celebrate, I hope you have a fabulous week until we speak again. It's my pleasure always sharing with you tips and tricks to simplify your life, fuel your joy, and to sustain your inner strength, your personal resilience. Do have a great day. Thanks so much for listening, love. If you enjoyed this episode, head over to didanashanta.com. I'd love to hear your thoughts on today's message. Be sure to drop your email address so I can send you some helpful resources, updates, and the occasional music video that I may have on repeat. Make sure you subscribe and spread the love with someone you care about.